Namaste. How's it going? So today I am in Essaouira, which is in Morocco, and it's on the coast of Morocco. So we've got the Atlantic Ocean just over there, I think, about a couple hundred meters from here. It's absolutely beautiful here during the day when the sun's out, which it is right now, which is why I'm like squinting so much. But it's also been quite cold, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do class from the rooftop today, but the sun has come out and it's an absolutely spectacular day. So we are going to have class on the rooftop, which is exciting for me because it means I'll get really warm. My toes are cold from sitting inside all morning. And these houses are built to keep you cool in the hot weather, and it's really unusual to have it be as cold as it has been recently. It's been going down to like 6 degrees Celsius in the evening, which is not cold if you're in one of the parts of the world where it's absolutely freezing right now, which seems to be most of the world except Australia. But it's pretty cold when, like, the Airbnb we're staying in, it actually has no heating or air conditioning built into the property. They have a couple of movable gas canister heaters that they probably have to get specifically in the wintertime. But like it's that kind of climate here where there's literally no air conditioning and no heating in the property, which is really incredible to think about. Like, what a magnificent place to have as your home. You can see here these curtains are a little sunroom that's on the roof of this Airbnb, which is really nice. Jane and I sat in there to work yesterday, and it was actually too hot to work in. Yeah, I'll give you a little look around from the rooftop after class. It's so sunny that I can't see the screen, so if you're going to talk to me, I'm going to have to get back to you after class because I won't be able to see that you are communicating with me. So thanks for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. I'm pretty sure Steph is there. Hi, Steph. And Jane's going to come up in a minute, and she's going to join us, but she'll probably be off camera. And yeah, so this class is a Bakasana focus pose class. So what that means is that we're going to work on different aspects of Bakasana, and we'll do it a few times during the class. And as I say in the note for class, this is inspired by one of my students in Indonesia, Naning. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Jane made it up. You'll be off camera here.
Okay.
It's all I'm set up here. So Naning was in a teacher training that I taught part of in Indonesia earlier this year. Or wait, no, it's 2018. In the middle of last year. Good thing we don't write checks anymore, or I'd totally be putting 2017 on my checks. I was teaching the students how to create focus pose classes, and Naning and I have been going back and forth, refining the work that she has been, working through on creating a focus pose class on Bakasana, and it inspired me to create my own focus pose class for Bakasana based on the conversations that we've been having. And so this is that class. So normally I'm not doing a specific type of class or a specific focused class when I'm doing these Adventure Yoga Weekly tune-ups. They're more like for my own practice. But this class incorporates a lot of things that I need in my body right now. We've been doing some traveling and a lot of working, and I've been a little bit lazy with my yoga practice. So this is a good all-rounded class, even though our focus is an arm balance. Sound good? Hope so. If it doesn't sound good, you know what? You can just turn off your Facebook and go do something else. All right, so come to your mat, and we'll get started. Welcome. Namaste. Take a comfortable seat. Sit cross-legged, unless that's uncomfortable for you. Sit comfortably. Sit up tall. Ooh, because I've got walls on either side of me, I have a really nice echo. Can you hear it too?
No, not really.
It's like bouncing back into my ears. going to start with just a little bit of breathing, a little bit of focusing on our breath, just a little bit of centering. So notice your breath, relax your eyes, stretch your spine. This is an arm balance class, but we're going to focus just on Bakasana. I don't know that we do any other arm balances in this class. That feeling of flying is something that many of us find intimidating, challenging, but also really fun and exhilarating when we practice it and when we achieve it. I was just thinking about how much fun it would be to try doing arm balances in space. Partly because I asked you to stretch your spine. There's a Japanese astronaut currently up there in the space station, which, okay, that is mind-blowing, isn't it? That there's a space station and people are in it. And when astronauts go up into space, they often experience growth. Or always, I would think, experience growth. Without gravity, the space between your vertebrae expands, and your spine uncompresses. It's normal for astronauts to experience 2 or 3 centimeters of growth while they are up in space. And then when they come back down to Earth, their spine recompresses. Well, I'm thinking about this because this Japanese astronaut has been in the news because he has experienced 9 centimeters of growth in 3 weeks in the space station. They're actually concerned that the seat in the Soyuz spaceship that's going to bring him back to Earth when his time at the space station is over, they're concerned that the seat isn't going to be big enough for him. Just think about that as you stretch your spine. Like, we really can create more space between our vertebrae by lifting up, by opening up, by working against gravity. Imagine you're growing 2 or 3 centimeters or even 9 centimeters. Imagine. To really bring us here to our place on the mat, let's begin a little bit of Ujjayi pranayama. If you're familiar with Ujjayi, over the next few rounds of breath, begin your Ujjayi. If you're unfamiliar with Ujjayi pranayama, it might be what you think of as yoga breathing, or that kind of Darth Vader breathing that you hear in class. For those of you who are new to Ujjayi, I'll give you some shorthand Ujjayi instructions. Think about your breath and work to make your inhale and your exhale the same length as each other. On top of that, work to make your breath steady throughout your whole breath, so that your exhale is consistent from the beginning to the end of your exhale. So you have to regulate your breath. Do the same with your inhale. Regulate it so it's consistent. Imagine the bottom of your pelvis, the bottom of your hips, and engage the muscles there just a little bit. And sit up taller. about the area around your belly button, like your belly button had just expanded, like 4 centimeters on each side. Gesundheit. Draw your belly in towards your spine, draw your spine towards your belly a little bit. Engage the bottom of your pelvis, sit up tall. And come back to your focus on your breath. Make your inhale and exhale the same length as each other. Make your breath steady. For today, those will be our instructions for Ujjayi. Ujjayi means uplifting breath. So it's there to help us be lifted up. Open up our lungs, take in more oxygen, open up our mind. Lift us up as we work to fly. With your next inhale, bring your hands to the prayer position, Anjali Mudra. Let's sing one Om together. Exhale fully. Push all of your breath out and hold it out at the bottom of your exhale. Inhale. Lift your chest and bow your chin to your chest. Lower your hands to your lap. Lift your chin. Open your eyes. Welcome. Come on your hands and knees. All fours. Let's look at our hands and check out our hand placement. I'd like the middle of your wrists as wide as the outer edges of your shoulders. So if you can imagine a line from the outer edge of your shoulder dropping down, it would hit the middle of your wrist, coming straight down. So that's stage 1. Stage 2 is to make your wrists parallel to the top of your mat. So sometimes we'll talk about where your fingers are pointing, but I like more to think about the bones at the front of your wrists and make them parallel to the front edge of your mat. So it's not hands turned out, it's not hands turned in, it's somewhere in between. We call it wrists parallel. Push down through your hands, but specifically push down through where your first finger comes into the palm of your hand, your index knuckle. And then use your thumb tip and your index fingertip to claw the mat. Round your back. Come into the cat shape. Push through your hands. Push through your index knuckle. Arch your back. Come into the cow shape. And we'll stay here a little bit. Push through your hands. Lengthen through your neck. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Push through your hands. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other. Lift your chest up. Keep breathing. I'm not going to cue your breath today. It's a Hatha class, not a Vinyasa class, so we won't get a lot of breath cueing. Push through your index knuckles, push through your thumb tip and your index fingertip, and round into cat. Move your tailbone, the very bottom of your spine, towards your face. Move your face towards your tailbone, really round through your back. Push through your hands, and then move into cow. Lift your chest, move your shoulders away from your ears, and lengthen through your neck.
Come into cat. And come to neutral. Bend your elbows out to the side. Keep pushing through your index knuckles. Then point your elbows back, keep them bent, and straighten your arms. Push your arms straight. Again, turn your elbows out to the side, bend your elbows so that your chest lowers some. Keep pushing through your index knuckles. That'll be really challenging here. Then point your elbows back towards your feet and push through your hands to straighten your arms. Really straighten your arms. Use your triceps to really straighten your arms. Those are the muscles on the back of your arms between your elbows and your shoulders. Do that again. Elbows out to the side, chest down some. Point your elbows back. Straighten your arms. Round your back. Cat again. Push through your hands so your shoulder blades start to feel like they're moving off your back. You can probably hear a man calling out in the street. There are people who walk around the streets here selling goods. We don't speak Arabic, so we have no idea what he's selling. Move into cow. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other and lift your chest. Think about what's happening in your shoulder blades. Move through cat and cow. Round your back. Arch your back. Keep moving in cat-cow, and I'm going to talk about what's happening in your shoulders a little bit. Keep pushing through your hands. Keep pushing through your index knuckles. When you move into the cow shape, your shoulder blades draw towards each other. We call that retraction. When you move into the cat shape, your shoulder blades move away from each other and start to move even around the sides of your body. And we call that protraction. Just notice those actions as you're moving. After your next cow, come into a neutral position. We're going to move into cow face, but just in our legs. So bring your left knee to the middle of your mat. Take your right knee behind you, tuck it in behind your left knee, separate your feet some, walk back, bring your butt to the ground between your feet. Sit up tall. When we do Bakasana, we have our knees out, which is an external rotation of the hip. So here we're getting an internal rotation of the legs happening, internal rotation of the legs, internal rotation of the hip, because that's going to actually stretch your butt, which is where your external rotators generally live. You should probably feel that. You can even touch, like I'm doing. Touch your butt. Don't touch my butt. Internet's not that good. So touch your butt, and you'll notice that, oh yeah, it's tight, those muscles. And that's because they're getting a stretch, which helps us be better able to activate them when we need the external rotation to happen. Breathe. Steady your breath. You can practice your ujjayi if you like here. Walk your hands forward, lift your hips, and change sides. Untuck your right knee, move your left knee over to the left, move your right knee to the middle of your mat, tuck your left knee behind it, separate your feet so that there's space to sit down, walk your hands back, and sit between your feet. If you want to just check again, oh look, I've got a flying ant on me. It's gone. She's gone. Take your hands, touch your butt, and you'll say, oh yeah, look, everything's like tight. That kind of tightness means that it's getting a stretch, which is what we want to do, so that it's active, it's awake, it's ready to help us do external rotation. Push down through your feet, sit up tall. next couple of poses are going to be poses to help us prepare for the launching of our Bakasana. This is something that came up in the conversations in this work with Naning, and it was really interesting to just think about what muscles we use to actually do that last push forward to help us lift up. Walk your hands forward, lift your hips, uncross your knees, tuck your toes under. Lift your knees up. If you need to look at the camera to see what I'm talking about, you can look. So lift your knees, really get your toes pushing into the ground, and then stretch your knees back towards your feet as you bring your knees down to the ground. Yes, that's right. Adventure Yoga fans, it's toe crusher. Tuck your toes under, sit on your heels, and sit up. Because we're going to need to be able to straighten our toes, to roll us forward and lift us up into Bakasana. So here, just like we did in the Bakasana legs, we're doing the opposite action of what we'll need to stretch the muscles that we're going to need to activate, to flex. But this is a warm-up, and it's not a huge leg class, so we're not going to be here forever, don't worry. If you start to lean forward because it hurts less, lean back, sit up tall. Feel it in your toes. Use your toes to push you forward. Walk your hands forward. Untuck your toes. Place your feet flat. Sit on your heels for just a moment. Sit up. Push the tops of your toes down to give them a nice stretch in the opposite direction. And then stand up. Bring your feet about hip distance apart, parallel to each other. Bring your hands onto your hips. Push down with your hands. Lift your right knee. Lean onto your left foot. Straighten your right leg. Stretching your quads is going to help you. Activating your quads is going to help you stretch your hamstrings here. And we're going to need our hamstrings to bend our knees and bring our feet off the ground in Bakasana. Hold it, straighten your leg. Bend your knee, bring your foot down. Lift your left knee. Balance on your right foot. Straighten your left leg. Hold it. Bend your left knee. Bring your foot down to the ground and watch. First Bakasana, already here, just to get us to feel the shape, feel what we can do already before we move on to more work. So watch. What I would like you to do is this. In a moment, turn your feet out, bend your knees, stick your butt back into Malasana, but we're just going to be there for a second. It's just to get us the shape. Then, like we did at the very beginning, place your hands so that the middle of your wrists would line up with the outer edges of your shoulders. Wrists parallel to the front of your mat. Push down through your index knuckle, thumb tip, index finger tip. Lift your hips. Lean forward, lift your heels, and look forward. So don't look back at your feet. Trust that they're going to do what you ask. Bend your elbows like chaturanga. Push through your hands. Lean forward. And maybe bring one foot off the ground. Maybe bring 2 feet off the ground. If you get both feet off the ground, bring your feet together. Bakasana, lengthen your neck. Hold it and come down when I say to. Sound good? Sounds great, I know, right? Cool. Okay, standing, feet hip distance apart. Turn your toes out. Lower your hips. Come into a Malasana, but not for long. So wiggle your arms in a little bit. Place your hands flat on your mat. Wrists middle of your wrists, outer shoulders distance apart. Push down through your hands. Lift your butt up. Keep your legs touching your arms. Lift your heels. Lean forward. Push through your hands. Lengthen through your neck. Push through your index knuckles, fingertips, index fingertips. Lean forward more, roll up on towards your tiptoes, and maybe bring both feet off the ground, or maybe do one at a time. If you get both feet off the ground, bring the inner edges of your feet together, bend your elbows a little more. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Bring your feet down. Sit down. Stretch your legs out. Stretch your arms out. Give a little shake. Cool. So now we're going to do a little bit of arm strengthening to prepare us for this arm balance. Come into plank pose. Middle of your wrists as wide as the outer edges of your shoulders. Wrists parallel to the top of your mat. Push through your arms. Straighten your arms. From your elbows up to your shoulders, push to straighten your arms. Activate your triceps here. Bend your elbows, Chaturanga Dandasana. If you need to bring your knees to the ground, bring your knees to the ground, but bend your elbows to roughly a 90-degree angle. So you can always bring your knees down to hold it, or bend your elbows, hold. Straighten your arms. Bring your knees down. Place your feet flat. Sit on your heels. Sit up. Next we're going to go into a modified Vajrasana to start. You can look at the camera. I keep saying camera. They're probably watching this not on the camera, right? Probably on a computer or a phone. So look at your phone. From plank pose, you're going to shift over to your right hand. Outer edge of your right foot. Step your other foot, your left foot, in front of your hips. So both feet are pointing the same direction. Stretch your arm up. Push through your bottom arm. Okay? Come into plank pose. Roll onto the outer edge of your right foot. Step your left foot in front of your hip. Turn your feet pointing the same direction. Stretch your left arm up and look up. Push through your right arm and really straighten it. If you want to take this a little bit further, you can stack your feet so your left foot comes on top of your right foot. Push through your right arm, straighten your right arm. Push through your index knuckle. Come back to plank pose. And we'll go to the other side. Roll to the edge of your left foot. Step your right foot in front of your hip. Stretch your right arm up. Look up. Lean your head back a little bit as you look up, so you're not rounding into your back, but stretching through your spine. Push through your left arm. From your left elbow up to your left shoulder, really straighten your arm. And again, if you'd like to take this a little further, stack your right foot on top of your left. Side plank, Parshva Bakasana. Push through your left index knuckle. Come back to plank pose. Push through your arms, straighten your arms. Use your triceps, the back of your upper arms. Then bend into Chaturanga Dandasana, slowly lowering. If you need to bring your knees down, bring your knees down. We're going to go back to plank pose. Push through your hands. Engage your upper arms to straighten your arms. Just one more like that. Bend your elbows slowly to lower. Keep your index knuckles on the ground, even though it's challenging. Straighten your arms. Walk your feet forward. Come into Malasana. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Push your arms into your legs. Push your legs into your arms. do Bakasana again, and this time I want you to really focus on what's happening in your arms. Do it with me, and follow the instructions. Place your hands so the middle of your wrists are as wide as the outer edges of your shoulders. Lift your hips. Keep your legs touching your arms, so you might need to lean forward already here to make that happen. Then lift your heels and lean forward more. Bend your elbows, so it's not as bent as Chaturanga. It's somewhere in between straight arms and Chaturanga arms. Lift your heels more, push through your arms, bend your elbows some, lean forward, and if you can bring one foot off the ground, do, and then try the other one, or bring both feet off the ground together. Bend your elbows, push through your hands. Really use your biceps, the gun show muscles, and your triceps here. And then bring your feet down, bring your heels down, sit down. Shake your wrists out, because it's a lot of wrist work when we're doing this. I've just noticed that there's a beautiful basil plant growing here, which would have been really nice to know last night when Jane and I were making our pasta dinner. But I see that they've also got some holy basil. Holy basil, Batman! And they've got some regular basil, so totally going to use that in our cooking, because we've got a kitchen here. Alright, shake your wrists. Give them some love. Bring your heels to the ground like I'm doing. Grab the backs of your thighs, your hamstrings. Lift your heels till your shins are parallel to the ground and spread your toes. Set up for Navasana. Stretch your spine. Keep doing it. I'm just checking my notes. Take your knees wide. Bring your arms inside your legs. Press your hands forward. Touch your legs outside your arms. Draw your belly in. Stretch your spine. So this is like Bakasana, like that pose we just did. Squeeze your legs into your arms. Push your arms into your legs. Think about your belly. Flex your belly. Flex your rectus abdominis and stretch your spine. Spread your toes. Bring the inner edges of your feet together like I'm doing. Breathe. Think about the bottom of your belly button and the top of your waistline. Draw them towards each other. But also lengthen through your upper back. Now that's a challenge. Come into Navasana. Bring your feet down. Lie down. Keep your knees bent. Keep your feet on the ground. Set up for bridge pose. So do Baddha Konasana. So make your feet parallel to each other, about hip distance apart. Bend your elbows, push your shoulders down, elbows down, feet down. Lift your pelvis up. Interlace your hands underneath you. A little bit, tuck your shoulders in. Push your wrists down and feet down. Push your shoulders down. Now, I want you to focus on what's happening in your back. So do a back bend here. Push through your feet. Lift through the outer edges of your hips. Push through your shoulders and arch your back. It's the opposite of the cat shape, more like a cow shape in bridge pose. This is activating the muscles that run up either side of your spine, your erector spinae muscles. Their job is to erect your spine, but also take you into a back bend. We're stretching our rectus abdominis, our six-pack muscles, by doing this. Release your hands, lower your pelvis. we've got a nice little vinyasa, sort of poses that will help us activate our rectus abdominis, then activate our rector spinae, then activate our rectus abdominis, then activate our rector spinae. So it's front core, then back core, then front core, then back core. If you know what it is and you're near your phone or computer, you can put it in the comments. Ooh, I know what's coming up next, Stephen. It's this. And if it's Naning, you're cheating because you already know. There's no cheating in yoga, right? Just do what you need to do. Bring your legs together. Lean back, grab the backs of your legs, lift your shins parallel to the ground. Stretch your arms out, spread your toes. Stay here, or straighten your legs, Navasana. So here, your rectus abdominis is working a little bit to help you flex at your hip, to help you round your back, even though we want to straighten it, but we're going to straighten it even more. Lower to Ardha Navasana. Stretch your spine, and then flex and come up. Stretch your spine, Ardha Navasana, then round and flex to come up. Because as much as we want to straighten our spine in Navasana, hold Navasana, there's still some rounding of our back. Our rectus abdominis are still working here. And then lower, stretch out through your spine, Ardha Navasana, and then come up. One more, Ardha Navasana. One more, Navasana. Bring your feet to the ground. Pause. Oh yeah, that's not what we were going to do, so we got to change that. Because we're going to go from Navasana, straight spine. So see, just a yoga teacher, sometimes we make mistakes, and when it's live, and then it's saved in perpetuity on the internet, I'm like, oh no, what if I make a mistake? Will people think I'm no good at my job? They'll just realize I'm human, right? You'll just realize I'm human. Cool. And we get a little bit of extra core workout. So come into Navasana. Straighten your spine. Work to use your back here to really straighten your spine. So we're going to counter that challenge of rounding your back here and stretch it long. Then we're going to round into that seated Bakasana. So take your knees wide, stretch your arms forward, round your belly. This makes more sense, doesn't it? It does. Stretch out Navasana, straighten your spine. Come into the flying Bakasana, seated Bakasana. Flex your belly, stretch it out. Flex your belly, stretch it out. 3 more. Flex your belly, seated Bakasana, stretch it out. 2 more, seated Bakasana, Navasana, seated Bakasana, Navasana. Cross your legs, sit up. Cool. So now it's time for another Bakasana round. Rather than seated, we'll do it the normal way. Watch. So you can just sit and watch. We're going to really focus on our core when we're doing this Bakasana. Surprise, surprise. Just watch. Demo first, then you can do it. We're going to do the same setup of feet turned out, feet about hip distance apart. And then you'll come into Malasana like I'm doing here. You'll place your hands and you'll really engage your core here to make your belly strong and supportive as you lift your feet, lift your heels, and lean forward. Now really move from, you can watch here, from the below your belly button quite a bit up to where your ribs split. You're going to really work that energetically to keep your belly supportive and strong as you shift forward. And move either one foot off the ground and bring it down, the other foot off the ground and bring it down, or both feet off the ground. Really use your belly here to keep your belly strong and supportive. All right? Got it? Tadasana. Turn your feet out. Lower your pelvis. Malasana. And then let's go forward. Place your hands down. Lift your heels. Lean in. Now, imagine that place deep below your belly button and where your ribs split at the front of your body. Round your back. Flex your belly.
Engage your six-pack muscles, lean forward, and play with bringing your feet off the ground, one at a time or both together. Round your back like you're doing the cat shape of cat-cow here. Really round it. Engage your core. Bring your feet down. Sit down. Yeah. Cool. So, just a little talk before we do this next thing, gives you a break. So, while we're doing that, take your hands like prayer, and then turn one hand over, so that your fingers are touching the heel of each hand. So fingers touch the opposite heel, fingers touch the opposite heel, and give your wrists a little stretch here. And then release that, shake them out. So when we were doing cat-cow at the very beginning, I was talking about your shoulders, your shoulder blades moving away from each other and rounding around the sides of your spine. Keep shaking out your wrists. And then that was in the cat shape, in the rounded spine, which we were just doing in Bakasana. And then in the cow shape, they draw together, right? Okay, stop shaking your hands. Stop, I'm not shaking my eyes. Canadians will get that joke. Take one hand on the top of your other hand and go like this. Do a wrist flexion. It's just nice to stretch the muscles that we need to do our wrist extension. You can even do a little massage for your wrist like I'm doing. So, the protraction and the retraction actually both have to happen to create shoulder stability. Now change and do the other wrist. Go into wrist flexion and give the top of your wrist a little massage. So there's one action that we need to add between protraction and retraction, and we did that in the very first pose we did, which was to move your shoulders away from your ears. Because your shoulders move down your back when you do that, we call it depression of the shoulder blades. So what we're going to practice in this next round is the protraction, shoulders moving away from each other, and then we're going to depress them, move them down our back very little. They won't move very much when our shoulder blades are protracted. And then we're going to work to draw them together slightly, that retraction. But because we're keeping the protraction and then sliding them down, that retraction, it's not going to happen like it does in cat-cow, where it's really drawing them together. What we're working for here is shoulder stability. So first, we're going to get that protraction happening. And we're going to do that in a pose that we call Bakasana and Bakasana, more commonly known as plank pose. So come into plank pose. Have the middle of your wrist as wide as the outer edges of your shoulders. And again, if it's exhausting for you to stay in plank pose, you can just bring your knees down to the ground. No problem in that. Push through your hands and around into your upper back. This is getting you closer into the cat shape. Now I don't want a huge rounding like we would do in cat. I want that rounding more to happen just between your shoulder blades. And then you can start to feel this, just so you feel it. Now do the retraction, do the opposite. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other, and then push through your hands so that your shoulder blades move wider and even around the sides of your rib cage a little bit. This is the action that we're really going to focus on when we're doing our Bakasana. Now everybody, bring your knees down to the ground. Walk your knees forward a little and come into all fours. So I just want to practice those other actions before we really do them. So move your shoulders towards your ears, like you're shrugging your shoulders, like, I don't know why I came to yoga class today. That's a good one, right? Yeah, cool. Shrug your shoulders and then move your shoulders down away from your ears. So that's what we're calling depression of the scapula, shoulder blades. Okay, now shrug your shoulders, move your shoulders down. So that's depression. Aw, don't be depressed, shoulders. Now draw your shoulder blades towards each other. So your chest moves down and you feel like a little scrunching between your shoulder blades. That's the retraction of the shoulder blades. So then relax that, just like go to a neutral. And then do it again. Push through your hands, but then move your chest down, move your shoulder blades towards each other. And then undo that. So that's the retraction. And remember, we just did the protraction. So we can practice that again. Push through your hands, round through your upper back, so your shoulder blades move away from each other some. Okay, now relax. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other. Retract them. Then move your shoulders away from your ears. Depress them. So we're doing those two without focusing on the protraction, because I just want you to feel them here. Relax, shake it out. That helps, totally helps. Draw your shoulder, at least the seagulls are laughing at me. Draw your shoulder blades towards each other, retract them. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Depress them. Okay? Now we're going to add in the protraction of the scapula. And one of the great places that we do that commonly in yoga class, or we should be working to do that, is in the transition from plank pose into Chaturanga Dandasana. Sit on your heels for a second. So what normally happens is we go from the protraction in plank pose, and then when we move into Chaturanga Dandasana, we just retract our scapula and we lose the protraction. But we actually want to keep the protraction as we lower. And to keep the protraction, we stabilize our shoulders even more by a slight depression followed by that retraction. You know, it's a lot of words, it's a lot of talking. Welcome to Adventure Yoga. We talk a lot. Here we're going to try it, and hopefully you'll feel it in your bodies. Come into plank pose. It can be plank pose with straight legs. It can be plank pose with knees down. Your choice. Push through your hands and protract your scapula. Push through your hands. Move your shoulder blades away from each other so they're moving along the sides of your ribs a little bit. Keep that, and then move your shoulders a little bit away from your ears. It's not a big movement. It's a slight depression. Then keep all of that. Push through your hands. Keep the protraction. Keep the depression. And then slightly retract your shoulder blades, and you should start to feel that the muscles between your shoulders are active as well. Keep all of that as much as you can. That protraction, you can do it again if you like. Depression, retraction, and lower into Chaturanga Dandasana. Come all the way down to your belly. I know, that's a lot of work in your arms. Take your hands, place the tops of your hands beside your legs. The tops of your hands are on the ground. Just stretch out through your fingers and your wrists. Wiggle your fingers. Roll the tops of your wrists on the ground a little so they get a little massage here. You can even lift your fingers and give your wrists a little extra massage there. So flex your wrists a little. And then relax your hands and sit up. Come into Malasana. So this time when we do Bakasana, I'm going to walk you through those arm-shoulder actions, okay? Place your hands, middle of your wrists, as wide as the outer edges of your shoulders. Lift your hips. Lean forward and pause. Push through your hands and round into your upper back. Do that protraction of your scapula. Then stay here, claw your fingertips into the ground, push your index knuckles down, move your shoulders away from your ears. That can feel like lengthening your neck. Think about a turtle bringing its head out of its shell. Keep that protraction. Keep that depression and slightly engage the muscles between your shoulder blades. So there's a tiny retraction. Keep all of that as you lean forward and bring one foot or both feet off the ground. Push through your hands. Protract your scapula, depress your scapula, and retract slightly. Now that's some stable shoulder work. Bring your feet down. Sit down. Shake your wrists out, because it's a lot of wrist work. So we've got one more section we're going to focus on. because we did that toe work and that leg work. We're not going to do a specific focus on lifting your feet off the ground, rolling to your tiptoes and lifting your feet, because we don't have enough time. It's not in my notes that we were going to do that, right? I just wanted to wake that area of your body up. What is important, though, is getting your hips open enough and active enough so that you can get your arms between your legs. So come into Baddha Konasana. Bring the soles of your feet together. Hold the fronts of your toes. Baddha Konasana. Push your feet together. Tighten up your butt. And turn your legs out. So your gluteus maximus, the biggest of your butt muscles, is the main external rotator of your hip. So use your butt here. Don't force your legs out. Don't push your legs down. Not today. Don't push your legs down. Don't stretch out through your knees. Focus on tightening up your butt so that it feels more like your legs are turning out. And take your mind to your butt. I don't care how low your knees get to the ground. I want you to be activating your glute max so that it's helping turn your legs out. So when we're doing this work of activating the muscle, flexing the muscle that we want to use, we then want to activate or flex the antagonist muscle. The antagonist muscle is the muscle that does sometimes the opposite action, but often it sometimes does the opposite action, but not always is it so clear that it's doing the opposite action. And this next one is one of those examples, because the antagonist to the gluteus maximus is the psoas major. And so, well, it's actually all of the psoas group. So we're going to now flex at our hip while we use our arms to activate our psoas muscles, which is going to help us stretch our glute max. Might make sense when you try it. So stand up. Bring your feet just a little bit wider than your normal Uttanasana. Fold forward. Bend your knees and place your hands flat on the ground. Press your hands flat and straighten your arms. Bend your knees, but straighten your arms. So find a balance between those two where you can bend your knees and straighten your arms. It might help to lift your knees. And then you can really fold, sorry, not lift your knees, lift your heels. Then fold over your legs. If you're unsure what I'm saying, you can look to your device and see me. Push through your hands, straighten your arms, bend your knees, lift your heels. Look forward, lean forward, really flex at your hips, maybe bring your feet off the ground. That's a super advanced variation of this, so if it's not working for you, don't beat yourself up, totally fine. Push through your hands, straighten your arms, flex at your hip. Lean forward and maybe bring your feet off the ground. You can probably hear in my voice how much effort that is. Bring your heels down. Turn your feet out. Come into Malasana. And this time, we're going to hold our Malasana, something we haven't really done yet. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Lift your chest. Stretch your spine. We're holding our Malasana because it's doing both of those actions here. We're flexed at our hip, which takes our psoas muscles to do. And just pausing to say, I apologize that my eyes are closed most of this class. The sun is right up there, beating down into my eyes, and, well, I can't really keep them open and stay sane. So we're flexing at our hip here, which takes our psoas, but we're also externally rotating our legs, which takes our glute max. Push your arms into your legs to help externally rotate your hips, and really flex at your spine. Squeeze your legs in. Push your arms back. And let's transition this into Bakasana again. Place your hands flat. Lift your hips up, but keep your legs touching your arms. And if they disconnect, lean forward and reconnect them. Lift your heels. Tighten up your butt so your legs are turning out. Flex at your hip so your psoas is working. Lean forward. Push through your hands. Bring your feet off the ground. Maybe one at a time, maybe both together. Bend your elbows some. Engage your arms. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Bring your feet down. Come back to Malasana. Sit down. Shake your hands out, shake your wrists out. If you want to do a little stretch and massage for them, do that. You've got one more pass at Bakasana. If you've been really getting into this pose and really enjoying it, this time when you come up into the pose, work to straighten your arms. This is going to take your triceps, these muscles on the back of your arms, to straighten your arms. You're really going to need to push to straighten out. To help with that, guess what? Use your core, flex it, and lift yourself up. Keep your legs working, keep your core working, keep your back working, keep it all working. Bring all of this work together and do another Bakasana on your own. This is your chance to put all of that work together and fly. Just do your best. See what happens. Don't forget the protraction of your scapula, the depression, retraction. Don't forget your core. Don't forget your arm strength. Don't forget your external rotation. Maybe go to straight arms. Because from straight arms, you get all sorts of options. The chaturanga, jump back. Into handstand from Bakasana. It's all sorts of variations. When you're ready, come to child's pose and meet us there. Stretch your arms back or forward, your choice. Sit up, stretch your legs out in front of you, Dandasana. Pull your hips back a little bit, internally rotate your legs slightly, place your hands beside your hips, sit up tall, straighten your legs, stretch your spine, Dandasana. Tighten up the fronts of your legs, engage your quads, just straighten your legs, stretch your hamstrings. Stretch your arms up overhead,
and lift through your spine like you're working to grow 9 centimeters. Engage at your hip flexors, flex forward. Grab your feet, if you can grab your feet with your legs straight. Or hold above your ankles somewhere with your legs straight. Depress your scapula. Move your shoulders away from your ears. Lengthen through your neck and your spine. Fold forward. Paschimottanasana. This is a good time to return to your Ujjayi pranayama and really work to make your breath steady and focused, because you can probably feel this in your legs. But I also want you to stretch your spine. So stretch your legs and your spine. Paschimottanasana really means intense stretch of the back or of the west. So while we often feel this in our legs, it's meant to be a spinal stretch. So stretch. Work to bring the top of your head to your feet. Unlikely to happen unless you're up in space, but try. Push your heels down. Push the backs of your knees towards the ground without lifting your heels. Stretch your spine some more. The longer we're here, the better able we are to open up our spine. Depress your scapula slightly, move your shoulders away from your ears. Keep holding your feet or your legs, wherever you're holding them. Turn your legs in a little, lift your head and chest. And sit up. Lie down on your back, not Shavasana just yet. We got 2 more poses before Shavasana. Lie down. Bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Bend your arms out to your sides like cactus pose. And then lift your feet off the ground, make your shins parallel to the ground. Turn your knees to the right. Bring your knees over to the right. Squeeze your knees together. Bring your knees towards your right elbow. Stretch your left hip away from you, but keep your knees touching. Then bring your knees up to center. Shins parallel to the ground. Knees over your hip joint. Turn your knees to the left. Then bring your knees, squeeze them together. Bring them towards your left elbow. Maybe to your left elbow. Stretch your right hip forward. Keep your knees together. Jatara Parivartanasana. Come back up to center. We'll do that once more on each side. Turn your knees to the right. Bring your knees towards your right elbow. Squeeze your knees together. Stretch through your left side. Press your left hip away from you. Come back up to center. Shins parallel to the ground. Knees over your hip joint. Turn your knees to the left. Bring your knees towards your left elbow. Stretch to your right side. Move your right hip away from you. Come up to center. Shins parallel to the ground. Knees over your hip joint. And then bring your knees into your chest. Wrap your arms around your leg. Relax your feet. Relax your legs. Use the work of holding your legs to keep you in the pose. Ananda Balasana, blissful child's pose, or Supta Balasana, child's pose on your back. Just got a couple of names.
If, like me, you're working on a very thin mat, my awesome Jade Yoga Voyager travel mat. And rounding your back too much can hurt your vertebrae. So you can either lean to one side and then switch to the other side, or just don't go into as much of a flexion of the spine and have your knees away from your chest a little more. Slow your breath down. Relax your body. Come into Shavasana. Stretch your legs out. Stretch your arms out. Turn your palms up. Tuck your shoulders in. And rest. You've earned it. Great work, everybody. That is a challenging, fast-paced class. So now feel the work in your body. Enjoy the work in your body. Rest. toes. Move your fingers. And deepen your breath some more. Really stretch through your fingers, like individually stretch them out. Roll your wrists. And roll them the other way. Bend your knees and place your feet on the ground. And stretch your arms up and overhead along the ground. Really stretch through your arms, your shoulders. You might even like to side bend slightly while you're on your back here, just to stretch your spine a little more. And then bring your arms in and roll to your right side. Pause on your right side. Carefully press yourself up to seated. Sit up tall. Bring your hands to your heart. Anjali Mudra. Thank yourself for practicing, for making the time to unroll your mat, to work on the challenge of flying when gravity pulls us down, compresses us. We fight against it in yoga to lift ourselves up, to stretch up, to fly. Thank yourself for this work. I thank you for this work. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Let's sing one Om together. Exhale fully. Inhale. Namaste.
Namaste, everybody. Thank you. That was a little bit more than the promised 60-minute class. I bet we ran to about 75 minutes today. But I really enjoyed it. It's a fun way to work on a class. I'm just going to take off the wide angle here. There we go. Put my wide angle lens down, and I'm going to just scrape the headphone microphone around my neck. Hey, how's it going? Ooh, backlit. Cool. So, just wanted to give you a little look around the rooftop garden and the rooftops of Essaouira. I've noticed that the time is now almost 12:30 here, which means any minute now, if we stay on long enough, you're going to hear the call to prayer, because it seems to start at 12:30 for the afternoon prayer. So I'm just going to turn the camera around so you don't see me, but you can see this really beautiful rooftop garden they've got. It's so nice. They've got some shelves and some plants up here. It's really, this blue is really a color they use a lot here. The lapis lazuli was a color, was where this color came from originally, and it was traded by the Berbers and the Tuaregs, who are nomadic people that are from the Morocco area. Not that it was Morocco when they were trading lapis lazuli. And there is a seagull. Whoa. And you can see some of the rooftops here lots of satellite dishes, which seems to be how people get their television here. There's not a lot of fiber optic cabling happening. Yeah, there's not really much to see. I'm going to hold on to my phone so I don't drop it and show you down onto the street. And you can see people going by, hanging out. Let's see what's around the other side of the street. Probably looks pretty similar. Oh yeah, there's the coffee shop down there. He's got a little neighbor. That apartment across the street is where we're moving into tomorrow. Lots of kids hanging out. More rooftops. Yeah. And I'm just going to bring the camera to me. So next week, we are doing this class again on Wednesday, but Jane and I are flying to London next Wednesday, so I'm expecting that this will be one of those classes where I'm doing class from the airport, which is always a fun experience. Try not to get in trouble at the airport, try and find a space to do some yoga. So I'm expecting that next week's class will be a shorter class, like a 15-20 minute class. It's more in like how to prepare for a flight, or if you're going on some long haul travel. Not that going from Marrakesh to London is particularly long haul travel, but it is travel, and it is nice to get your body stretched out a little bit before you get on a plane. So we'll probably do a class like that. I'm expecting that's going to be the only place I have time to do a class next week. So why am I heading to London? Well, I'm heading to London because I'm actually heading to Ireland. The immersion starts really, really soon. It's in a week and a half, starting in Cork. Really excited about that. And it starts the week after in Waterford, and then we start in mid-February in Hamburg. Today, January 10th, is the last day to sign up for the early bird price in Hamburg. So if you haven't done that and you're in Germany or in Denmark or nearby and you want to come to the immersion, this is a perfect day to sign up for it. You can find out on my Facebook page how to contact the studio, Yoga Connection Hamburg. And of course, just because the early bird is over for Cork and Waterford, it doesn't mean that you can't sign up. It just means that it's the full price for those trainings, and they're starting really soon, so don't delay. Sign up. This is an 80-hour training that I've created to help you really learn more about yourself and your yoga practice, the history of yoga. We do a lot of anatomy work. There's some fun story time. And it's something that I'm really, really excited about and passionate about. So I hope you can join me for one of the immersions if you are in either Ireland or the Germany neighborhood. And if not, I do have some regular workshops coming up in the spring. Let's see, I won't remember everywhere I'm going, but I'm going to be in Rome, I'm going to be in Helsinki, I'm going to be in Stockholm, I'm going to be in Trondheim. I'm going to be in Ljubljana for part of a teacher training, which is also an open weekend workshop. If I have forgot to mention that I'm coming to your town, well, I'll try and add that into the comments section here. Ciao, Maria. Nice to see you. And Sarah and everybody else who tuned in today. Thanks so much. I've been hoping that Call to Prayer is going to start, but it hasn't, and I've run out of things to say, so I'm going to let you go, and you can enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for practicing yoga. See you soon. Namaste.